Welcome to Binge Theory, the coolest corner on the internet. I'm your humble host, Julian, and with me today we have a quattro of experts to give you all of your nerd-worthy entertainment, insights, thoughts. Today with me we have Kenny.
Hello.
We have Brianna.
Hello.
And Logan.
Hello.
And we're going to start off, with guns a-blazing with WandaVision, episode 7. Now, we've been big fans of the show so far. Just to give a quick recap, I believe we're shooting this episode of WandaVision in the 2000s, and I believe they're using the This Is Us template.
What is it? Modern Family.
Modern Family. Okay, there you
go. And The Office. Yeah, that kind of one.
See, I've never watched Modern Family or This Is Us, so I was kind of just feeling in the dark and saying it seems like something where people talking to the camera. I don't know, but yeah, they do have the self-narration and the fourth wall breaking where they're talking to the camera. And what it seems like is Wanda is undergoing some existential crisis where she's talking her way through what's going on. Vision has left. She's kind of open to that idea now, and she's just dealing with it. Nothing really matters. It's very, morose. And now, but there's some extra scenes that are going on with Agent Wu and what's her name?
Monica Rambeau.
Well, there's Rambeau, but who's the scientist that got Darcy, who actually got enveloped in Wanda's bubble. So there's a lot of things going on, and there's a nice little reveal at the end, but we can get to that as we go forward. So I would like to start with Brianna. What were your thoughts of this episode?
So I like this episode as usual. I'm always confused, but I liked a lot of the humor in this one. Starting with the controllers, again, it's like they're setting up that stuff is happening. Wanda can't control it. Everything is kind of shape shifting. So the boys had a GameCube controller and it changed to cards and stuff like that. That was really funny. And another thing I noticed that keeps happening is Wanda's comment on that kind of stuff was oh, it's just a bad case of the Mondays. It's they use those quips of very traditional things from those types of shows, but it's funny, but also it's not funny. It's the world is crumbling literally around her and it's completely out of control. So it's just kind of crazy, but I always thought that was a nice touch. That's not the first time they've done it. But yeah, the episode was really, it went by really fast. By the time it got to the end of the episode, I was ready for it to keep going. When they did the whole Agnes reveal, I was just not ready for the end credits. It was it was just there. And I was oh my gosh, the episode's over. So it went really fast. But yeah, other than that, the commercial, for the Nexus thing for the antidepressants just kind of all goes back into that just chaos, sadness, everything that's happening. And I also really there was one sweet moment where Darcy was talking to Vision in the van and she's I don't really understand why you can't leave, but it's obvious that you and Wanda have a real love story. So I like that part of it. It's just another way to kind of remind everyone yes, they're apart, but at the heart of this, I think it is kind of a love story, at least a piece of that. So True. Interesting episode.
Yeah. Two things to that. One, I did like the glitching and it was essentially her losing control over everything as she was kind of just maybe overextending her powers, or it was just falling apart. It just, maybe it was running its course because we are getting closer and closer to today. And I think that's making the point more and more so. And secondly, I have to concede, my theory on that WandaVision was based all in her head. It looks like there was somebody at the helm. And I believe, Kenny, you were the one that really brought that up mostly. And let's talk about let's talk about the the Agnes being the one who did it all the time and killed the poor dog. What is that? What is I knew this was dark. And
I called it.
Kenny, you called it. You called
You did.
You know, I give you many props, sir. So that being said, please, give your thoughts on the episode.
So I'll start by saying I feel vindicated. Because I was going all in on my theory that someone else was at the helm and manipulating her, and so to see it kind of open up to that and reveal Agnes was really cool. But I actually, and to talk about Agnes for a second, I actually really loved the little song they did. It was Agnes all along.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was looking at the subreddit today on WandaVision. It was a episode 7 discussion thread, and there were several people that had mentioned that particular song is actually climbing the charts on Apple Music and something that so many people are listening to it. I thought that was hilarious, but awesome. That it was so catchy. A lot of people really liked it, and
her evil laugh too. That was amazing.
Yeah. And then I'm not as I was watching the show, and then when she did her reveal, then I killed Sparky too. I had an immediate John Wick moment. Where's John Wick when you need him?
If you go on our Instagram, you will see a meme to that effect.
Yes, but no, I really, really enjoyed this episode, and I agree with many of the Redditors that have discussed this, that the real villain of this show is the "Please stand by." At the end of the episode, that's the real villain. Because they just leave it at these spots. You just want more. So I give them a lot of credit for creating a show that keeps you wanting more, and you want to see what's going on. You want to see what's happening. You feel vested in it, invested in the show. But I know a lot of people have been used to turning the show off whenever the credits start rolling, and this episode they finally had a mid-credit scene that showed Monica Rambeau venturing to Agnes's house, and
Pietro,
and Pietro shows up Snooper's gonna snoop, and then please stand by. So it still makes me wonder who he really is. Is he a citizen from Westview that she's just, changed to look like Pietro, or is he Pietro from the multiverse, and she's manipulating him, and maybe somehow over the next couple episodes he's going to wake up and be free of her control. I think that's, I'm hoping that he's not a one-off. I really hope that he's not just a throwaway character on this show, and that there are larger plans for him.
Now, does anybody here know what her character's name is in the comic series? Because I think
Agatha Harkness, right?
Agatha Harkness.
Agatha Harkness, yeah.
Is that her villain name? She doesn't have a.
No, that's I think she's just known as Agatha Harkness because she's a witch from the older times. She lived through the Salem witch hunt, and she's just been around for a very long time.
So what did it mean when one of the boys was like, "I can't hear you," or said that
you're
she
very
wasn't
quiet
really
on the,
there?
yeah,
You're very quiet on the inside. Yeah, I thought she was like Vision. I was like, is she a bionic person? Is she not really real?
Well, and that was also before she came out. I thought it was basically because that she was suppressed. But you're right. I mean, it makes
maybe she just can control it and one
of the theories I heard on that is that maybe the reason the twin thinks that she's quiet on the inside is the other residents of Westview are battling internally. They are constantly trying to get free, and they have a lot going on internally that we don't see. But I imagine that he can hear that. But when he listens to her, it's just her. So there's not a lot of turmoil and
Got it.
No
and
bad.
nothing being suppressed, so to speak.
That would make sense. Yeah. Okay.
So
There you go.
but I am interested to see what happened to the twins. Because there was no real as far as I call it, there was no hint at where they might be or what
There was a
happened to them.
symbol on that book or whatever that was, but I don't know Marvel very
I actually
well,
think the
but-
book that they showed, I think that might be a tie to the Doctor Strange universe. If you go going back to Doctor Strange,
okay.
that
In the
ancient
library.
library that they
Yeah.
have, I think that might be a book that she has taken from their that library.
If they bring back what's his name, the who was Chitway,
Caecilius?
is that well
Oh,
no,
no.
Chitway, the guy who was
Oh, Mordo.
Mordo. Yeah.
yeah. If they bring him back, that'd be pretty wild. But Logan,
I mean, he's supposed to be back for Doctor Strange too, but I don't know that he has anything direct involvement with this.
but isn't his whole thing is he's trying to kill witches? So
His
if
whole
he's a
thing,
witch-
at least to my understanding, as it was left at the end of Doctor Strange, was just people who shouldn't have magic shouldn't have magic.
Mm.
I think it's hard to argue that a witch from the Salem witch trial shouldn't have magic. So,
the Puritans thought otherwise, but
yes, well,
but wanted to get your thoughts on it as well, Logan. What were your takeaways?
it was a great episode. I think it was fun, that kind of, mockumentary fourth wall breaking, that we finally reached that stage in TV history, if you will. I think it lends itself well as a lead out into no longer doing it as like, what style of TV a week is it? So going from that kind of fourth wall mockumentary to just dealing with everything in the last two episodes. It's a nice way to lead it. I think all the main points aside, there were at least two other things that I really was interested in, and kind of how this entire series, as much as it's all WandaVision, obviously, it's really Monica Rambeau's origin story. It's not just about those main characters. It's all about what she went through and what she had to do and how she gets her superpowers. I mean, if you're going through the comics, she's had a number of different iterations and superhero names. She, takes over the Captain Marvel mantle for a little while. It seems like they're moving her more towards the what do they call her? Spectrum, I think, as far as kind of the superhero name that she had in one of the runs of the comics. Was it Spectrum?
Yeah, or was it Spectrum? I think went in Photon in the other one, or
yeah.
Powers were Photon powers or something like that.
Right. And
but I think Spectrum
one...
is probably the bigger known character name.
Yeah, and I think that one works with the way she's able to see the different things that she can see and what she's able to do with those powers. So this is really, yes, the show's title is WandaVision, but here's Monica Rambeau's origin story that now doesn't need to be told over the course of a feature-length film. So how can they take her character and really bring her mostly fully formed into a top-tier, MCU movie? It'll be interesting to see how they do that and if that works just from a world building perspective. So I'm really, really enjoying that and attached to her as a character and liking where they're taking that. And then the other thing that just I caught, and then I had to go back and watch it again because I didn't know if I caught it, but there was less than a second at the end where you actually saw a shot of Dottie. So if you remember from episode 2, she was Emma Caulfield.
Yes.
The actress there. She was the one who kind of ran the whole talent show.
Yes.
In it. And it was very quick, blink and you miss it. But just that look was a very intentional, knowing look. Like it was enough to just make me kind of stop and go, she's not surprised by what she's seeing. Why is she not surprised? Who is she really? What's going on here? Like, one of those typical Marvel blink and you miss it, might be the crux of everything, might just be Kevin Feige laughing at me. I don't really know. Either way, I'm cool with it. But that was just one of those moments that, she's I remember reading that she had to be okayed for that role by Kevin Feige himself.
So it's not
So
just some
is
throwaway
there something
character.
more to it? Why that? I mean, she was in the title card and in the show when she's not just, a background extra who's just looking on. She's a named actress. So why throw her in that? I don't know. I'd like to make a molehill out of a mountain.
Well, I mean,
here.
you're not wrong, because there was a setup for a conflict between her and Wanda, and then she just vanished from the whole.
I forgot about it because it's been so long since we've seen her.
Yeah.
Isn't there some sort of a storytelling rule that if you introduce somebody and then they disappear for the second act, they're coming back in the third act?
That seems to be very much like it, because she skipped a whole second and this would be the third, and how it goes. So who is she really? What does she have to play? Those are the kind of little, gnaw inside of you mysteries that I enjoy.
There's so many possibilities. And obviously, that's what I love about this show, is that we just can, pontificate and say, well, what if it's this? Well, what if it's that? And I'm still holding hopes for Doctor Strange showing up and, maybe taking the book back. Maybe that's it. Maybe he shows up to, set Agnes straight and say, you're not authorized for this. Who knows? I'm very excited.
I would not be surprised to see him in the final episode.
What about Loki? Is that a possibility? Or or because he has his own show that they're not even going to try and make the two touch?
Well, that version Loki's
Dead?
He's dead. Yeah. See, that version of Loki that would know any of them probably are mostly dead. The Loki that's running around is an out of time placed one from just after the end of Avengers.
Yep.
So that Loki shouldn't know anything about all of that. He's busy doing other stuff, understanding what the hell has gone on and figuring out where his character arc goes from there. So no, I don't think Loki. I think Doctor Strange in the final could be a, kind of like Nick Fury in the last episode of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 1. Kind of came in with Coulson and that was fun. Ended up not being in that reality and that canon and whatever, but interesting nonetheless.
In the immortal words of Deadpool, all these timelines confuse me. So anyway, looking forward to episodes 8 and 9. I'm sure they're just going to keep wowing us in ways we couldn't even imagine. So moving on. Our next topic. Brianna brought this topic up, and because I'm open to different forms of entertainment and information, binge is the wrong term. I quickly watched the documentary of Framing Britney Spears. And, spoiler alert, I'm not a huge Britney fan, but I know Britney and I can read the tabloids. So I've kind of gotten the gist of, what's been going on with her for the past, 30 years or so. It's been, and that being said, I want to go to Brianna. Has anybody else seen it, or is it just myself and Brianna?
I haven't seen it, but I know. No, I mean, I haven't seen it. I would like to. I don't have Hulu.
You can get on FX. It's on FX too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can access. I'll have to see if I can access it, but I would watch it just because. But I've followed like all the stuff that she's gone through anyway. Like just because being a musician, that kind of stuff has always interested me yeah, definitely. I would start off with Brianna.
So Brianna, what were your thoughts on this? Obviously, you're the one that brought it up, so you have an opinion.
Yeah, well, I wanted to see it. I was really excited about it because, I grew up, like, I'm the age that, like, when I was in high school, like, we would come home from school and watch TRL. Like, that's what we did every single day, every single week. If you know what that is, yeah, it's just like watching the same music videos from the same like top 10 artists, and they'd bring them in. It was like always the coolest thing ever in on Times Square. So like, you know, I was obviously like, I remember when Britney Spears first came to the scene. I remember all the guys like brought the CD in, we're talking about it, and like, you know, she just took off from there. And a lot of it had to do with TRL, but yeah, it's just an interesting thing because so much of her, you know, the height of her career and then all the struggles she went through, it was kind of sad to watch someone, you know, go through that so publicly. So it was, I mean, the documentary itself I thought was good. It is obviously biased, but that's on purpose. I mean, they're trying to show you that, you know, maybe it isn't the best thing the way the conservatorship has been set up, but again, they pitch it like her dad wasn't really involved until he kind of wiggled his way in. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's just how they've pitched it. But it was interesting. I think it really shows just how terrible the paparazzi can be. But also that is a double-edged sword because like she also kind of wanted to put up with it sometimes because, you know, she wants to be talked about and publicized and promoted. But especially as like her mental health started to decline, you know, it really seemed like she probably had postpartum depression and these just terrible things that she was going through and very public. And yeah, it was like her life was just this kind of fishbowl. Everyone could look in, see it, judge it. And like, we don't even know her, you know, so it's kind of crazy. And especially they focused on the events of like when she shaved her head and then the night that like, she took the umbrella and smashed that paparazzi's van. Like she had gone to Kevin Federline's house to try to get her kids. He turned her down. She was not in good spirits. She tried to go back. He turned her down again. And like, she just snapped. And it's just so sad. And just like, I don't know, my one, I guess, other main takeaway is, yeah, the way it's set up, it's just too many people have their hands in her pockets. Like she isn't even, I think, fighting having a conservatorship, but like, I don't think her dad should probably be in charge. And when they do set it up, it shouldn't be something where you get 5% of her Vegas proceeds because like you need to be acting on her behalf for her. And that's it, like manage her portfolio, whatever. But it's just kind of sad, you know. I feel bad for her after all of this, but even after it aired though, like she's been very public on her Instagram, and she even posted like, guys, like you don't know me, you don't know my story. So again, take it as a documentary. It's interesting. It teaches you a lot, but it's interesting to just see that whole timeline kind of play out.
True. And I use the term documentary loosely. It's,
yeah.
but don't get me wrong, it was informative, and obviously we all know Britney Spears, and just, you know, for those who haven't seen it, one of the main things about this is it's centered around, like Brianna said, the conservatorship that she's being placed under, which is a non-voluntary conservatorship. So she did have to sign away her rights essentially, but that's one of the biggest things is once you're kind of in that, it's very hard to get out of it. It's like being involuntarily committed to a certain extent. So she is, all of her finances are taken care of, where she goes, you know, her performance dates, that is all being managed without her say so. I mean, at least that's the narrative they're putting out in this. And what I did appreciate about it was them showing from day one Britney Spears and where's she from? Tennessee,
Louisiana,
Kentucky, or Louisiana. Yeah.
Her starting from, you know, a rural area in Louisiana and going to, you know, pageants and, you know,
malls. Like that was the big thing. They would go to schools and malls.
And she was, you know, climbing her way up. I mean, putting in the work and just trying, and you know, it's definitely a story worth telling. And I hope somebody does her justice by telling an actual story of her arc. And
yeah, I want to see her. Like, I want to see her side of it.
It's a pretty intriguing story. One of the things that it did show as she progressed was misogyny in the industry. That's one of the things that I really took away from it when she was
especially like the whole Justin Timberlake thing and everything.
Before that, remember when
Yeah.
she was on what's that show that Ed McMahon hosted?
Like whatever talent show thing that was.
Yeah, it was one of those talent shows where they bring out anybody just to,
she was young too.
She was in
Star Search, was it?
Yes, it was Star Search. That's exactly what it was with Ed McMahon. And one of the things that he said to her, and again, I don't like to qualify things by saying it happened in a certain time because it was all right. No, what that really means is there was no consequence for saying things during a certain time.
Yeah.
What Ed McMahon basically said to her, and this is where you could see how the whole world was being laid out for her. She was a singer. She was, there on the show. And while he's talking to her, he's not asking her about, her how she learned how to sing, her influences, all that. He asked her, do you have a boyfriend? And again, this is a single-digit child. And she's like, no, they're mean. And he goes, well, all boys aren't mean. What about me? Could I be your boyfriend? And again, it's just, however you take it, he could have asked her anything else that you would have asked any other child. But you see the whole duality being set up about, well, girls are only known for who they're dating or, all those things. And definitely as it progressed, I saw a leaning into, and they were documenting it very well, how everybody was just, for lack of a better term, slut shaming her. And when she broke up with Justin Timberlake, how it was her fault. And it was like and they using the analogy like it's in high school and the lucid woman breaks up with the star quarterback and everybody just shames her. And, it's all scarlet letter and it's very.
But like, even when it was happening, I didn't even think about it that way. Like I remember the Cry Me a River video came out and it was shocking because they had a person that looked literally exactly like her. And of course the lyrics are basically that she cheated on him. But like, I didn't even think about the fact that like we didn't get her side of it. She's never even spoken publicly. Like I think they're okay now. I mean, she's like congratulated him in public, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And then even after all of this, Justin has made a statement about her and Janet Jackson together.
Yep.
But it's like, are you doing this because you actually feel bad, or are you just like are trying to save face? Like,
getting ahead of it.
He's a jerk, and he's trying to be a part of this new woke world, and he's awful. And and I never liked him since he had that haircut back in the 90s. But I'm sorry, Kenny, you were going to say something?
No, so like I was saying earlier, before the show, and you were telling me to save it.
Yeah, you were giving all the juicy goss.
I know, but
we just started going.
So, I have a lot of friends that are musicians that aren't no one that's big or huge, but they all are full-time musicians. They're independent, and I know what kind of struggle it is for them on a day-to-day basis. So I can appreciate the struggles and stress that musicians in general go through. And I actually really was looking forward to this, but I agree with Brianna that I would like to see Britney Spears' story from Britney Spears' perspective and something along the lines of there's an HBO documentary called Tiger about Tiger Woods, and they actually had a lot of people that were involved in his life. And they highlight the great things. They don't gloss over the bad things. And what you learn, and I imagine it was very similar for people like Britney Spears, Michael Jackson, and other musicians that have done this all their life. Like you learned that Tiger, in reality, didn't really have a choice in playing golf. Like that was his dad's decision from the get-go that he saw a talent in Tiger and he pushed him into that, and there was really no other option. Now, as an adult, Tiger does love the game of golf, but I don't want to go down that road right now, but I can see like Britney Spears, her story definitely needs to be told. I know you mentioned that she's entering a conservatorship. That's not necessarily true. She's been in a conservatorship since she was 26 years old. She is 39. That is 13 years that woman has not had control of her life, her finances, her day-to-day. Like, that has to do something, to a person. I can't imagine that. And I know that she recently, what it was is she was trying to get her father completely removed from the conservatorship and just have the financial institution manage her conservatorship, but the courts basically denied that and just and basically made it so it's joint. So her father is still part of the conservatorship, but there's also a financial institution, some kind of trust. So they're part. That's a partnership now. So that's who's managing her conservatorship. But
right.
In reality, that's the people that are managing her life and telling her what she can and can't do, what she can spend her money on, what she can't. And,
right. No, that's and forgive me. I don't think I actually said that it just started. I think that's what this is centered around. Yes,
okay.
She's been on it for a while, and yeah, like I was saying, is that they have run her entire life all the way through her Vegas. What do you call it? Internship.
But
what do you call it? An internship?
There's a different word for it. I can't remember.
Oh, you're talking about her show in Vegas, like her stint in Vegas.
It's kind of like a tour, but it's not really a tour because they stay in the one city.
It's exclusive in Vegas.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine, like, she was pushed into this from a young age, right? And her dad was her manager for the longest time. And I imagine that he was probably similar to like Tiger Woods' dad, that, you push.
One of the things and Brianna, you correct me if I'm wrong on this, because they're saying that he was not estranged, but he wasn't in her life until after she had made it. And then he came back to be her manager. So,
yeah, I think so.
So I had it wrong.
No, it's probably more on her mother. And that's why I'm saying that we should all check this out, because what it does, at least from its perspective, is chronicleize her life up until now. And they do make some abrupt jumps. I'm not going to say it's the best crafted, but I do like seeing, there was one scene where they were, and again, this was CNN, and what's his name? The Vanderbilt son.
No.
Come on. White hair. The Silver Fox.
Silver Fox.
CNN. White hair.
Anderson Cooper?
Anderson Cooper, thank you.
Oh. I had to think, I'm like, I haven't paid attention to hosts and
it's Anderson Cooper, New Year's Eve, Anderson Cooper, and and they were doing a news thing on Britney Spears. And again, just to put it in context, I mean, it's still kind of news, but back then with the paparazzi and just the news coverage of celebrities, and somebody made a wonderful statement that just resonated. It said, we don't have royalty here. We have celebrities. And it's that's where all the fawning goes to. It doesn't go to a royal family, it just goes to people that are on TV. And I still just cringe at the amount of paparazzi that were around her, whether she had kind of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge setting it up, because she'd be going to the mall and very public places. And then the paparazzi were just there. I don't know the paparazzi lifestyle. I don't know how they get their information.
Oh, they are set up sometimes, but a lot of times they're literally just, they know where these people live and they will follow them.
Yep, they will hide out. They will hide out in cars parked down the street and just wait. And they'll do it. They'll work in teams. I mean, I will flat out. I don't care if they're human beings or not. I despise the paparazzi. I think of them as I understand that they think it's a job they need to do. I think they're less than human.
Well,
Because
again, it's all
they
about
are
money.
They're professional harassers, and to me, the fact that your job revolves around trying to show someone in a bad light tells me that all it is a jealousy of someone else's lifestyle that you don't have. So you have to find dirt, and it's all about like trying to show that celebrities aren't perfect. But that's, when did we think celebrities were perfect? Like, I think most of us understand everybody's a human being. Everybody has on days and off days. And that's what I wanted to add about these kind of documentaries is, I've said it in a couple of other episodes, or at least in one other episode, about how we tend to put these mentors and idols and celebrities on these just really high pedestals of perfection and think that they can't be, flawed. And then when they have a flaw, we have to just criticize and admonish them for what? It's these people are human too. And I understand that, people like Britney Spears or Michael Jackson or Tiger Woods or, any other, celebrity that makes a lot of money. It's easy to think of them as, they chose that lifestyle. They should deal with the consequences, and, but they make a lot of money, so it counterbalances. And that, I don't think that's true. There's a lot of stress that comes in that lifestyle. Like, and that's one of the things I really liked about the Tiger Woods documentary on HBO, is they showed, like, because he was so young when he went professional, and this lifestyle that he had to instantly adjust to, and there was a persona that he had to maintain all the time in public. That is a lot of stress to put on somebody. So you think about, like, Tiger Woods, he went professional in college. Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Justin Timberlake, they went professional in the single digit years of their childhood. Like, they were all on, like, the what was it, Mickey Mouse
Clubhouse.
Like, that is a professional job. Like, that's not like a casual, thing. So from the time they were just, supposed to be playing in the dirt in the playground, they've had to have a public persona that they've had to craft and maintain. And I don't think anyone unless they've been through that, can understand, like, that's the stress that puts on a person. And so I can appreciate those things, and I'm glad that some of these documentaries and stuff come out, because, anyone that is able to have empathy can watch them and really see that there are different sides to these stories. And yes, somebody might be flawed, somebody might make mistakes, but that doesn't mean that they're a horrible person. It doesn't mean, like Britney Spears, yes, she had a mental breakdown, but what led to that? And just because she had a mental breakdown doesn't mean she's a horrible person. Doesn't mean that she's necessarily a terrible mother. I don't know what kind of mother she is day to day, but just because she had a mental break, people have mental breakdowns every day as just regular citizens. And, we don't criticize them.
Let me put a little perspective.
Sorry, I know I got on my.
No.
That was great.
I
agree.
I just think those things need to be said.
No.
Yeah.
I hear you. I would want to just two little things. I would definitely say that some paparazzi are definitely, taking photographs of people at inopportune times for the money grab. But I would say that, to be fair, I'm not giving a percentage here, but some paparazzi are just, camping out, taking pictures while they're walking. Whether it's an opportune time or not, that's the occasion. But yeah, like when you're Ben Affleck, who's having a alcoholic moment and they're snapping shots in his car, that's, to get the fallen hero. When you're basically, doing a Photoshop of, Orlando Bloom on a boat with Katy Perry, that's not seeing them in a bad light. That's just, look, here they are in their everyday life. So I just want to say that there are bad, definitely intentions, but I wouldn't say that every paparazzi, the name is kind of probably a little, pejorative too. Just, that's all they do. And again, I'm not, I'm not paid for by the paparazzi consortium, and I'm not an advocate for paparazzi as a role. I would just say that you get your money where you can. I mean,
I'll add that a majority of celebrity images or images of celebrities that are like in secluded locations, their houses, the beach or whatever, and let's say they end up, let's say they're nude or something. Almost all of those images came from paparazzi. The ones that were obviously not taken with like a personal cell phone. Somebody had a private
as a drone above their house.
No, but they do that. They lose in court. Beyond despicable.
It is.
I completely understand, and I would say that telephoto lenses invading people's privacy is bad. Period. I would also say that it is not unheard of for people who are trying to get notoriety to contact said paparazzi and tell them where they're going to be. That is a thing. It is not.
I've heard that too, and I agree with that. But it's one of those things where this all stems from the paparazzi only exist because we as consumers want what they're selling.
Absolutely.
Right? Like we drive their business.
Yeah, 100%. No, I completely agree, and I would say that. How about this? Paparazzi is a beast. If you keep feeding it, it's going to end up biting you, and that's my wonderful analogy of the day. Logan, did you have any thoughts in regards to this? Now, I know you haven't seen it, but just your overall take on celebrity and the the entertainment of one's demise.
I think just that, much like meeting a celebrity at a convention, we are seeing a snippet of what we are being shown, not even of them, but just what we're being shown. And I think that there needs to be a lot of care and understanding placed in that. I could go to a convention and see, I'm making up a name, Smith, and they could bite my head off and just be the most dickish that you could imagine. And that's my perspective of them. And I will never watch anything they're in. I'll never go see them again, or I'll never get anything signed, or I'll throw out my favorite Smith t-shirt, or whatever the case might be. But it's a moment. It's a thing. It's and the same thing with these kinds of documentaries, and whether it's a documentary, whether it's even just a paparazzi type thing, whether it's whatever, it's a snippet of what somebody else is trying to show or tell. So while there's some entertainment value in that, typically the people have dedicated their lives to entertainment in some form or another, sure. But for, the Britney thing or the Tiger thing, I'm personally not invested in that way, in their kind of celebrity that way. I think we do also have to be very, very careful in that there's never just one thing going on here. Yes, if you search, you can find some, but can you think of any conservatorships of male artists or actors off the top of your head?
That's what I was trying to get to. Yeah, I was trying to focus more on the act.
There are some, no doubt. You can search and you can find them. There definitely are some. Some of them they've chosen to voluntarily go into themselves. But I think the narrative and the story, especially around something like has been presented as Britney's situation, is very much a male-dominated control over a female performer, And there are lots of, I think, bigger concerns and issues there that should be taken into account that probably aren't been, if our current history and situation means anything. I think it's also very, you need to be very careful about just saying, oh, well, we don't know the pressures of celebrities, so, we don't know what they're dealing with. Yes. But if they are hurting somebody else because they are hurting, I'm sorry, but that doesn't matter. I could never in good conscience put Britney Spears, as we've seen so far with the information that we have available to us, and Michael Jackson in the same breath. That's not in any way, shape, or form a connection that I could ever make in good conscience. Crossing the line of hurting somebody or injuring or damaging or traumatizing in any way, shape, or form, yeah, you can have a screwed up life, and I'm sorry, but if you're screwing up others' lives, then it's kind of a null and void. I don't care what you've gone through. You can still choose to not be that kind of a person.
I mean, I would say this: damaged people don't get a pass.
No, they don't.
No,
But
I'm not saying that either.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
And again, I'm not saying anybody is. I'm just making that comparison that there are lots
I'm glad you added that.
Yeah. No, there are lots of stories and lots of things and lots of places where it doesn't matter. And if you're going to cross that line, then you have to pay that price.
Well,
but we're all still seeing snippets of even those people.
And two points I wanted to my point in the Britney Spears was one of the things, because Kenny, you had mentioned that she had a mental breakdown. When you watch this documentary, I'm not really convinced she had a mental breakdown, just like I'm not convinced Dave Chappelle had a mental breakdown. I think you're looking at a narrative from somebody that wants you to be excited, wants you to be horrified, wants you to experience this emotion. So when to that point, when you're watching this documentary, I know nothing about her. I know what I've seen on camera, and I'm taking that with such a huge grain of salt because of like you're saying, the paparazzi are trying to portray certain things. It could be, them at their worst day. And I'm quite sure that none of us want a camera in our face on our worst day.
Yeah. To add to that, no, that's a really good point, Julian. And to add to that, I remember back when she went through the stage when she shaved her hair, right? And people just automatically assumed that she just snapped. The other side of that, in other corners of the music world, what was being said, or what it was more like rumors, was that was her trying to basically push back against her father, who was basically at the time trying to, I can't remember if it was trying to control everything, but it was basically, it would damage her brand, which in turn hurt him. And I think that was like a way for her that was the only way she could affect him at the time. With the means she had, like that was the easiest way she had to basically to take a jab at him.
Yeah.
Was
I don't want the
brand.
I don't want to go down a dark road here, but she wouldn't be the first girl to try to make herself look ugly to get away from certain types of attention. That has definitely been a thing where some people would want to make themselves less appealing to push back on that desire that they've been getting. Not saying that anything is lascivious happening here, but emotionally, if she was seeing herself as just an object, and she had to be the sparkly, pretty, objectified thing all the time, perhaps that was not only a stab at her father for managing her, but also at society saying, I'm ugly, leave me alone now. Not saying that that's the case,
or even taking that out of it too. I think you're totally right. It could be as simple as control. I can't control anything in my life. This is the only thing I control. That's not a person who's out of their mind. How many I've done it. I mean, who hasn't shaved their head or dyed their hair or, just gone kind of radical because it's like, things are rough and I can't control anything, but I can cut my hair if I want to. And you know what? That makes me feel better. That's a healthy coping mechanism. That's trying to, do something to make yourself feel better that again isn't hurting anybody else.
And to that, I mean, and I want to say this because I remember when that whole thing was going on, I did hear, and this is internet rumor, it is not verified by anything. So please, take this as just a internet rumor, is that during the time there was custody battles going on between her and Kevin Federline. And I heard that there was going to be a drug test. And that one of the drug tests that they did utilize back in those days was taking hair samples to see, because you could be clean for a week, but it would still be tested in your hair if you had hair. And that was one of the things that were going around. Again, could be completely false. That could be a narrative. I would say this, is that if you're a multimillionaire and have access to everything, going to a barbershop to have your head shaved seems a little out of
it was erratic. She had a pattern of behavior in a very short amount of time.
And that's the thing. So I don't like to label things as mentally ill. And quite frankly, that to me, that is just a prism where you can be on one end or the other. It's not a switch. It's more of a dimmer in my opinion. So maybe she was just having a really bad day, had bad, people around her, and she just wanted to get away. The thing that horrified me most, Brianna, was the fact that all these paparazzi, not that they knew where she was, but the accessibility they had to her, they're literally on top of her, bumping into her. I'm like, you could hire a security detail and, keep people at bay. They do it now. They do it now very easily where you can say, you step 1 foot closer, I'm smashing your camera. But she allowed them such, and I don't want to say her because I don't know the situation, but it was like watching jackals tearing apart an animal. They were all on top of her in such an amount. And it seemed like, and I don't want to, and again, to Logan's point, at a certain point, you have to start taking responsibility for yourself. And Michael, and I will say this, I will wrap it up with this because, this is a whole nother topic, but going back to the misogyny that I witnessed in this whole thing and how women are crazy and they can't be trusted with their own money. And, you got to take care of her because she's got a screw loose. I'll say this, Shia LaBeouf, Joaquin Phoenix, Michael Jackson, nobody took their money away. They just said, he's just expressing himself. He's an artiste. But, I mean, they go to jail and multiple times for assault. And what does she do? She attacks a car with an umbrella. And
because she just wanted her kids that night.
Yeah.
That's what she was upset about. But
that really, I think to use a term I hear all the time, you hit the nail on the head, Julian. And it goes back to misogyny. And it's, I think we've learned in more recent years how rampant that has been in the entertainment industry as a whole. And it's a shame. But it's a shame that's the world we live in, but we know that's the world we live in. And, it's on us to be better.
Well, we're going to fix it all here. You just keep watching this show. You keep watching this show. We're going to give you all you need to know to make it to that being said, I want to move on to the next topic because this is a loosely related, and I just wanted to bring it up because it happened recently. Tiger Woods was in a automobile accident today, and wish him well. Hope he is recovering. We knew he was in surgery and apparently suffered severe injuries to both of his legs.
Yeah.
And
that wreck looked bad.
Yeah.
It was very bad. It was in California, and it was basically the vehicle went off the freeway and tumbled down into a ravine. It was a ghastly looking accident. But based on what we were just talking about a little earlier about trajectory of one, and the going from adulation to condemnation. I think Tiger Woods is right in that vein, where he was a child prodigy, and to that point, his father pushed him in that direction. But to put some context in how young he was when he started, swinging a club, he played golf with Bob Newhart. He was on the Mike Douglas show.
It was before even that. But yeah, you're right.
No, when he was in his single digits,
10 months old is the first time
that was the Mike Douglas.
His father, 10 months old?
Yeah. He could barely stand up. He was on the Mike Douglas show. Yeah. Right. But not only that, his father put it out there that not only would he be the best golf player of all time, but he would be on par with Gandhi in regards to bringing humanity to the world.
And that's a lot to put on somebody's shoulders.
Yeah, that could be a little.
I do not live up to that. I'll try, but.
And obviously, we all know how he rose. He ascended to greatness. And now he was not a paparazzi, target. And again, that's you think you see the kind of unbalancedness there. We were talking about Britney Spears a little while ago, and Tiger Woods. He was very infamous. I mean, very famous. And then when he had his issue and had his altercation with his wife, now ex-wife, it was newsworthy, but he was not. They didn't have access. You didn't see paparazzi in his face.
Well, sports is different than like Hollywood, I feel like.
Yeah.
For some reason. I don't see as much paparazzi as much as like actors and musicians and stuff.
I think you're right. I think you are right. And even that, I think, it's that is interesting. I'm wondering why that is.
Maybe it's because they're just more accessible. I don't.
That's the thing.
They're in more interviews just on the regular. I don't.
I have a feeling, and this is a theory, just a working theory, is that when you're in show business, literally show business, one of your things is always to be seen, not as a general rule.
No, they like tell you to go to parties and like do things, even if you don't want to. Like you should be seen here. Absolutely.
It's being visible. An athlete, they only really care about being seen when they're scoring points or they're living up to because that's their job. But celebrity is a whole nother machine, I think, that it doesn't turn off. And if you're famous for being famous, that's a whole nother beast.
To add, that's one of the things I really liked about the documentary HBO did was they did not gloss over the mistresses that he had. They actually interviewed the one he had that was like long term. That I can't remember her name now, but it was very interesting to hear like they were less physical and they were more like he used her as like somebody to just talk to because it was like he couldn't be himself. And turn off the Tiger Woods persona and just talk about his day without being like in that professional mode. But supposedly this was like her saying in this documentary is that when they were together, he could just talk about his day and just relax. But what I was going to say is they don't gloss over the affairs. They don't gloss over the altercation, the accident in his neighborhood, the DUI, where the police found him on the side of the road and he didn't know where he was. And they had the footage from the jail cameras, where he was waiting to get booked and you just see him just standing there like disheveled. And then they talk about him coming back, right? Because there was a hiatus from golf for a little while after all that, and then he came back.
That is what I think. And Logan, you and I have spoken about this in the past in regards to the comeback, the rise of the Phoenix, and I will say this: the fact that we make any fall from grace. First of all, there shouldn't be any grace. You sing into a microphone, you score a basket. That's not grace. It's a job. You do it better than most, but it's a job. You're not ordained to some higher calling or some higher morality. You're just a person who does a job well. So when people, have this adulation to them and they act human and have the same flaws and errors that any other human would, because they're people. They're people doing a job, but they're people. And get pulled over in a DUI, having a violent altercation with your spouse. These are things that everybody in society does. So the only reason it is a thing and super heightened to some sort of a newsworthy event is because everybody kind of knows that person. So it's, oh, did you all hear about this?
Yeah.
Because I seriously doubt that Tiger Woods is the first person to get a DUI or to be caught cheating or to, well, maybe not the whole adult actress thing, but it's not like he was, starting a cult and burning houses down. These are very approachable things that people do every day, but because the spotlight's on you, everything seems so much more sensational. Mm-hmm. And that being said, him coming back, and because 2 years ago, he came back from obscurity. He had not won anything in 12 years.
Yeah.
Then he came back in one of the Masters and come back.
That was, so I can't, oh no, that was back in 2007. I think that was before his, all of his issues. But yeah, he did. He came back. But the biggest thing, and this wasn't even in the documentary because the documentary only brought him up to 2017 or 2018. Mm-hmm. 2019 was a really great year for him, but over the past 3 or 4 years, a lot of the sports, golf analysts and other PGA Tour pros, the biggest thing that they say about Tiger Woods now versus Tiger Woods 2005-ish is he has fun on the golf course now. You go back and watch him play, he is 100% business all the time on the course. You would never see him joking around with anybody. You wouldn't see him really cracking a smile. It was all business. And now you see him actually having banter with the other golfers. It's more like he's playing and actually enjoying it for the first time. And you could really see, was it late last year when the tournament they did where he got to play with his son, Charlie. Yeah. And you could just tell they were having a blast. He didn't care what place they finished in. All he cared about was he was getting to enjoy that time with his son. And I think that, he is an example of somebody who, like you said, fell from grace and has risen back. And I don't think I don't think we, I'm not saying he's forgiven for any of the things he did, and that doesn't go away. But it does, there is something to that he has decided to come back and try to be a better person.
Here's one thing I will do, and before we move on to this, and good point. Another comparison that I find interesting when it comes to entertainers and, movie, music, what have you, I noticed that, let's say, for example, in just cinema, when somebody does something that's, panned publicly, and, we spoke about this in the past episodes about damage to yourself, damage to others, but let's just say you do something that society shuns you for. You need to actually, and this is kind of an American thing, I guess, is it's not necessarily that you're a better person, but you need to win. And I'll tell you this, Tiger Woods came back and won. And those are numbers. You can see, look, he was down here, now he's up here. So that means all things are better. I don't know that. I don't know anything about his personal life because the prism that I'm looking at him through is either he's in the news or he's on the scoreboard. That's pretty much it. I have no idea what he's doing in his personal life, just what people say. And obviously that can be his PR rep or a paparazzi. It can vary. But with cinema, it's kind of the same thing. As if you have a downturn, but you come out with that hit movie, all of a sudden everything's forgiven. You kind of are back in the good graces, not based on who you are, but what you've produced. And I think that's just something interesting that, I don't know if that's a good thing or if that's just our society embracing something that's deemed as popular or something to celebrate.
One last thing, not to drag the topic on, but I just happened to have the news playing in my office when it came across, breaking news, Tiger Woods was in a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
It was no time at all before the news anchors and the they're bringing in people to talk about the incident, that they started going back to, well, we knew we don't want to bring it up, but we should remember that he has had problems in the past with medication and alcohol, and it's like that's the go-to. Like, I was just waiting for somebody to bring that up, because it's like, whether or not it has anything to do with it, there's somebody's going to bring that up to say, like, oh, well, it might be this.
And I hate to say that, but going
it's
back
possible, but
well, let me put this, and I always love doing this. Let's say Kevin from accounting had a problem with, little drink, swerve. Yeah, had gotten into an accident.
I like Brianna's reaction, because it sounds like like Kevin is a real person.
I think we all know.
Kevin.
Yeah. and then.
Oh, that's so funny.
And then all of a sudden you hear a couple of years later, oh yeah, Kevin got in another car accident. I think he's probably, pop.
I mean, I think that's fair game, though. Like, if you've done that before, but again, it's up to them to prove them wrong. Like, there shouldn't be, if his blood alcohol level comes back clean, then it's like, all right, we're good.
So here's this then.
Mm-hmm.
At what point do we consider somebody better? So, for example, let's say, like Kevin from accounting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say he's been sober for 15 years and gets into a car accident.
Like Philip Seymour Hoffman. He was forever. Like, he was like over 20 years sober, I think, again, before he fell back in.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, if somebody truly does become a better person, and let's say, like Kevin from accounting had a drinking problem and had a couple of car accidents.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's clean sober, but he gets into a car accident that ends up not being his fault, but of course all the rumors are, he could have been drinking.
Yep.
Find out that he's clean. Okay. But then let's say another incident happens, and that it's always like, why is it always that we fall back to somebody's flaws? Like, at what point do you consider them redeemed?
No.
Like, if we believe that people can be better and people can change,
mm-hmm.
at what point do we because if you say, it's based on their actions, well, if the person spent 10 years sober, at what point do you consider them redeemed?
No. You're.
I know that's an open-ended question, because I don't know that answer either. Because I mean, it's not like. I know I'm not perfect. I have those same thoughts about people. I think it's a question we should ask ourselves: is at what point do we deem somebody as redeemed?
No, absolutely. Good, excellent points all around. Now let's go, because there is another rumor. This is a much better rumor, a little lighter fare, that Jennifer Lawrence is going to be Sue Storm in the upcoming Fantastic Four film. Now, I want to do this because, let's not just leave it at Sue Storm. First of all, has anybody else heard this rumor about Jennifer Lawrence?
Yep. I did see that. Yeah, I saw that online.
Now,
though, as much as I think she could be in her own one, I wonder if they're going to kind of soft introduce her somewhere else.
And does she want to come back to Marvel?
Fair
That was
question.
kind of my
Very
question.
fair question.
She did how many X-Men?
Well,
At
I'd
least
say
4, right?
3 or 4, yeah.
and she just showed up for the others. You know, it
Yeah.
I mean, but it could be that if she's not having to do the full
Body-
Full bodysuit.
full bodysuit,
Yes.
then it might not be that she might not consider it that bad.
Yeah, and I haven't seen her in much anyway recently.
Well, she's working on the Netflix movie with Leonardo DiCaprio like right now. I don't know what she's doing after that, but I saw her in Red Sparrow last time.
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
a
that's
couple
right.
years ago. That was 3-4 years ago.
I read the book series, the Red
Oh,
Sparrow
okay.
book series. It was like 3 books. The books are phenomenal. They were written by a former CIA operative. So a lot of the spycraft and stuff, has a lot of legitimacy and at least real feel to it. So the movie does not do the books justice. The movie was okay, but I found the books way better.
I went to the panel in DC. They had one night. So like Francis Lawrence, the director, was there. Jennifer Lawrence was there. A couple of the other actors, but we couldn't see it. It was the day or a couple of days before the movie came out, so we hadn't seen the movie. So like, does anyone have any questions? It's like,
now
no.
Has anybody seen Red Sparrow?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No. Well, I will say that Logan, it's basically the story of Black Widow.
Yes. It looked like it from the trailers, but
She was a ballerina. And I got
Yes, a ballerina
hurt,
spy,
and then turned to spy assassin.
Yeah, she just didn't have the Avengers to up her game a little. So, but to that point, let's have some fun with this. So,
All right.
let's do some fan casting. All right,
Let's do
Dr.
it.
Reed Richards. Kenny, who is going to play Dr. Reed Richards?
You had to start with me. Damn.
Okay, Brianna, who is your Reed Richards?
I don't really know the Fantastic Four that much. I don't think I might have seen the original movie, but so I stole some from online, some of the rumored ones. John Krasinski, because then Emily Blunt could be Sue Storm. So I would love to see them together.
Well, I mean, I would say based on his Jack Ryan character, he can be more than a goofy, character. Like he can play serious
Quiet Place?
roles. Yeah, he can do serious roles. So
you know what? Yeah,
I could see him.
Brianna, your Quiet Place pull.
Although they're both in it, so that's just ignore that too.
Well,
husband wife.
Because I wasn't thinking so much of Goofy Jim from The Office. I was thinking, and I know he can do action because obviously Jack Ryan, and he was also in that Benghazi movie by Michael.
That one was a good movie.
Yeah. So he can pull. I guess I was more thinking about the intellectual, because I picture Reed Richards as a little nerdy, but they've gone against type before and it's worked out. Heath Ledger, Michael Keaton. I can go on, but yeah, no, I could see that. Logan, do you have a Reed Richards besides yourself?
So I'm going to pull one out of left field, but not necessarily an original one. I would actually like to see Ian Griffith come back and do it and have him be the only one from that cast that comes back.
Wow.
I have loved him in most of the things he has done.
Which one was he in?
He was the original Reed Richards from the first 2 movies.
Yeah, no, I like.
I would love to see just him come back and him be it, and then recast around him. I think he had the right combination of what do you want to call that? Intellectual ego with humble teamwork at the same time. And I loved his portrayals there. And again, I've loved him in most of the things he's done. So I wouldn't mind seeing him just throw out of left field and bring him back and, new people around him.
That's an interesting choice. Yeah, definitely out of left field. Kenny, did you come up with one yet?
I don't. It's hard. Like Reed Richards is a hard one for me to place because I can't think of many actors that would portray a good Reed Richards. But I do I think I would second Logan's recommendation because I actually liked the original Reed Richards.
Yeah, I could see all of these. I think are interesting. I'm going to go with from Walking Dead, and what's his name? Lincoln. He was Rick.
Andrew Lincoln.
Andrew Lincoln.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I like he still has that
Love
the
him.
British sophisticated, kind of a lean look to him.
Can I tell a really quick story?
Please.
Because I worked
It doesn't
as
have
an
to be
extra. Yeah. Well, I worked as an extra on The Walking Dead. And I mean, at this point, I've worked on probably 60 productions. Like, I've worked with like a lot of actors, many different sets, big budget, little budget. So I was a walker for one of the, I think it was season 5 or season 6, like mid-season finales. It was like a big, crazy scene in Alexandria at that set. But no joke, like Andrew Lincoln is the most intense actor I have ever seen on a film set, ever. And I don't mean that as a bad thing. Like, he's so intense. Like, he walks up, he has his music on, like they read the scene to you, which like also isn't really a normal thing. Usually you don't do that on set with the directors and actors and everything, but like he was there. And then like next time we saw him, like he was Rick Grimes. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Andrew Lincoln disappeared and it was Rick Grimes. Like, there was a part where like he was like trying to sneak out with the people as we're like, rambling along as zombies. And he was like, I caught his eye once and he was like with a hatchet in his hand. And I was like, I feel like he was going to kill me. Like, he was that intense of an actor. It's just, that's my only Andrew Lincoln story, but it was amazing because it was like the full, like in Alexandria, it's night shoots. Andrew Lincoln was very intense, but
now, was that
great.
actually in Alexandria or was it in Atlanta?
No. So funny enough, so it's, I think pronounced Sonoy, but it looks like Sonoya, Georgia. Is kind of like the headquarters for them. And they have a studio just a couple miles away. But there's a main street, and that was the set for where the governor was, season 2. I forget the name of the city that they called it. But literally at the end of the street, they built, like you could probably, I think they're still there to this day. If you go to the end of that street, it is literally the Alexandria set. There's the wall and everything literally surrounding it. And there's actually like, I think 2 houses in that development that people actually live in. So I don't know how much money they make, but they're well taken care of there. But yeah, I mean, it was funny though, because like we got ready at the studio and then like we didn't know what we were working on. And so like, I think there was about 200 extras there that day. We got bussed and like, I saw the fence and I was like, it's the Alexandria set. Like, I was just beside myself. And it's literally, you go in and it looks exactly like what it looks like on TV. It's crazy. That
is crazy. I mean, well, they did a lot of aerial shots, so it did look kind of like a set, not a set, but a layout. Let me move this on to Ben Grimm, The Thing. Kenny, do you have a pick for Ben Grimm?
So I'm debating whether like Ben should be like as a the human side, should it be a large actor, but then you're limiting it to like people like who do like The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, or like John Cena or somebody like that. But I don't know.
Well, I'll just throw out mine just to give you an idea of where I'm going. David Harbour from Stranger Things.
Oh yeah,
and also the failed Hellboy reboot.
Yep.
I think either Hellboy could probably play him.
Oh, yeah, Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman.
But I mean, you couldn't see him.
That's true. He might be too recognizable.
He's like 60-some years old now, isn't he? But Brianna, did you have one for Ben Grimm?
I don't know if I have one.
Logan, I'll let you.
Dominic Purcell.
Now I gotta Google that.
He was in obviously DC's Legends of Tomorrow as Heatwave. He was
Oh, I
in
know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
It was in what was
Prison
it?
Break.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes.
And he was also in the horrible Blade Trinity.
Yes. Yes, he
Yes.
was.
No, he could do. I think he could do it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
He'd be good.
yeah, absolutely. You know, he's got like that big rock head. Of course, you know he could do it. Johnny Storm, Brianna. I know you got a Johnny Storm.
I don't really have it.
I actually have one for
I
this.
just don't know the
but
characters
I don't know,
enough either.
I don't know if anybody will agree, but I'm wondering if Ansel Elgort
Interesting, Baby
from
Driver.
Baby Driver, yeah, I'm wondering if he could pull off. I haven't seen him do a lot of sarcastic, or quippy kind of roles.
Yeah, I've only seen him.
So I'm wondering if he could pull it off because I think he could.
I mean, he's an interesting character. I see him as more of the, and maybe it's because of him in Baby Driver, and I think he's also done some romantic leads. I've never seen his comedic chops or any.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't think I've ever seen him like that.
I've never seen him smile. That's pretty much it. But let's jump up. So bringing it back home to Sue Storm. Unless Logan, did you have one for Johnny Storm?
I'm gonna have to say Zac Efron.
Yeah.
Yeah, the internet.
I saw that. I like it. It really is just like, yeah, you know what?
Sure.
Especially if you saw the less than stellar but still mildly entertaining Rock's Baywatch remake, and picture Zac Efron from that kind of style doing a Johnny Storm. It's almost endearing enough.
And also, I think he was kind of funny in Neighbors with Seth Green.
Yeah.
Yes.
Seth Rogen. Seth Green.
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen.
One of the Seths. Yes. Yeah. That's a good pull. I can see that. Now, back to Sue Storm.
Ooh, I have another.
Okay.
Sorry, I had another Johnny Storm.
Yes.
Taron Egerton.
Oh.
He'd have to have a good American accent.
Yeah.
He couldn't be British.
I was thinking there was a movie that he did where he had an American accent.
Oh, I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm just saying he would need to for that role.
No, you're right.
Oh, and forgive me, his name just completely flew out of my head. Yeah, the guy that did Rocket Man and
Kingsman.
Kingsman.
Yes.
Sure, I definitely see that. That's I can see that he has a lot of range. You know, I like him.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Logan, you got bumped. You know, it's now Taron Egerton. That's but bringing it back to Sue Storm, and I got to say, I'm with Brianna. I think Emily Blunt and John Krasinski, even though I don't want John Krasinski, I like Emily Blunt. I loved her in a lot of the things she's done. I think she's really underrated.
So good.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to seeing her in a Quiet Place too.
When is that coming out now? Or it's TBD?
When is anything coming?
I know. Bond, same. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I saw the trailer.
This year, maybe.
Yeah, I saw the trailer before Thanksgiving last year, and
although I don't think they've ever announced a release date, did they? Or maybe they said 2021 or something.
Yeah, and even that's probably. I think that the main thing about these releases is they're deciding: are we just going to go all in on the stream, and because they're making money, I guess.
We're doing it.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Logan, on Sue Storm?
So, I think if you're going to go with the power couple, go with the power couple. That's totally fine. I'm fine with that. But if not, I kind of think I might like Alice Eve.
Oh God, I'm losing my nerd card here. Alice
I mean, I remember her from one of the Star Trek movies, as well as the reboot ones. What was she in? She was in something else movie-wise.
Into Darkness.
Well, she was in.
Yeah, Into Darkness.
She played the one. The
Yep.
The daughter.
Yeah, she was the one with the gratuitous underwear shot.
Yes.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, I'm glad they showed that in
but-
the trailer, so you knew that this was going to be a high caliber, evolved society type of.
That's right.
Right.
But more than that, I remember her from Iron Fist, for as good as that series was, or not.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because she was definitely in that one, and
Men in Black 3.
Oh,
I
jeez.
didn't see that.
Yeah, she's going right to the sequels. Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, I think that could be her breakout.
I could see that. I could see that. Kenny, do you have a Sue Storm?
I would go again with the power couple. If you're going to cast one, you have to cast the other. So, but I actually have, before you decide to move on, I don't know if you're going to talk about further fan casting, but I had a suggestion for Victor Von Doom.
Oh, good, because if you didn't, I did.
All right. Well, yeah. Let's dig in. Okay. Let's go down the Doom.
My suggestion is John Hamm.
Oh, I'm
Ooh.
obsessed with John Hamm.
Ooh.
Yeah. What's funny is the last Victor Von Doom looked like a poor man's John Hamm. So I can.
Yes.
So this is the
And I'm sorry. What's his name? He was in some series that I never watched. But
Mad Men?
no,
the
not
original-
John Hamm.
Oh, the other guy.
Yeah.
Julian McMahon.
Yeah.
What
I
was
think
he in?
he
He
was-
was in Charmed.
Yeah. See, that's not my fare.
No,
I think he
You
was.
don't say.
I remember him from Charmed.
I think he was also in something else, like a little higher end series. Anyway,
Nip Tuck.
that's what it was. Thank you.
Ah,
Exactly. Yes. That is more my fare, but I still didn't get into it. Logan.
so Von Doom, I would go with Rufus Sewell.
How old is he now?
I just saw him because my wife actually, believe it or not, hadn't seen A Knight's Tale, which I showed to her recently.
Oh,
He
yeah.
So that was kind of fun to introduce her to that, and he was the main Count Adhemar in that one.
That's right.
And just kind of seeing his sneer and his range and his
Yeah, he had the same sneer in The Illusionist with
Yes.
Edward
Yes, I have that one too.
See,
Yes,
Oh, that's
I
a
think
good
I think
pick. I
he
like
could
that one.
elevate.
That is.
He could elevate Victor Von Doom to royalty with no question.
Norton. Yes, good pick.
yes. Now,
Dang.
would
Thought
it
my
be,
John Hamm was a good pick.
Can't top Rufus.
now?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back. Yeah, I'm gonna cross universes here.
Oh,
Not DC Marvel, just Fox and MCU. Michael Fassbender
as Victor Von Doom.
as Victor Von Doom.
Hmm.
I mean, I just want something good from Michael Fassbender. I haven't seen him any.
I was saying he's too A-list though for
Well,
that. I think.
what was his last? The last film I really saw him in was Dark Phoenix, and he killed it in it. But it's just I've not seen him pop since his working with Steve McQueen in Hunger, Shame, and 12 Years a Slave. I've not seen him really just blow me away on anything recently. So I'd like to see him in another big property.
He's got to redeem himself after Assassin's Creed.
Oh,
Ouch!
again.
Ouch!
Speaking of bad video game adaptations,
Exactly.
Film.
It's the rule. Video games and anime cannot be converted, or at least they have yet to proven to be a good one. So that's my Michael Fassbender's Victor Von Doom.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still don't think that tops Logan's
Rufus.
selection there of Rufus Sewell.
he
Yeah.
is so great. Yeah.
I can see him in it. I'm trying
Because I could see he would make you really hate the character,
Mm-hmm.
which is what you want.
Well, you know what's
Yeah.
funny is I remember him way back 20 years ago in Dark City.
Oh, Dark City! Wow. All right.
Yeah, a long time ago, and I didn't know who he was. And that was when I was not a movie expert, which I am now. I was just more of a movie novice back then. Brianna, did you have a Victor Von Doom?
I mean, I can't. I didn't have one, but I can't top any of those. So.
Yes. I think
I don't. Go ahead.
No, please.
I was gonna say the only maybe a little bit of a younger actor, but I cannot think of his name. But he played he was evil in Game of Thrones.
Jamie, not Jamie Lannister.
No. The one that ended up forcefully marrying Sansa Stark, the bastard.
Kit Harington?
No, not Kit Harington.
The guy that got eaten by his own hounds.
Yeah, the guy that fed people to the dogs.
The guy who fought Kit Harington.
Yeah, Ramsay. Ramsay Bolton.
Bowen, yes, Ramsay Bolton in the Battle of the.
But I can't think of the actor's name.
Yeah,
Ewan Ryan.
No,
but he played that role really well. But he was also in Inhumans, so maybe he needs a little redemption too.
Yeah. What's funny is I had another fan casting that I had him picked for in my own reproduction of Clockwork Orange. I see him as the main character in Clockwork Orange, just because he has that smirky kind of a smarmy, jerk face.
And resting jerk face.
Yes, exactly. And I don't know if Anthony McDowell was the main character in Clockwork Orange, a very young Anthony McDowell. And
yes, that's true.
And he had kind of just that, that smug, cocky fraternity, kind of a look. And I could see him pulling that off. If we could, somebody put that into works, please. Clockwork Orange remake. Thank you. Well, this has been another great episode. We want to thank you so much for watching us. And, there's a lot of good things out there. We're going to be bringing a lot of new content to you. Leave your comments down below. Let us know what you want us to do reviews on. If you have any insights, if you have opinions. If you don't agree with Logan, tell him in the comments below.
Please do.
I can't handle that controversy. But anyway, we again enjoy bringing this to you. We want you to be good to each other, be good to yourselves. And as always, remember, if it's worthwhile, it's worth binging.